Yeah, I mean, I guess in a way, kind of sitting up here listening to the conversation, I want to scream, but I'm not going to.
Oh, don't scream.
For many reasons, I think there are a lot of great examples of some of the good work that's going on, but given the economic challenge we're dealing constantly in the country, it kind of begs the question, what are senior leadership of our country thinking? That we have to continue to revisit this conversation on an ongoing basis, like we're talking to deaf people. And it's very fundamental in a country that supposedly have this wealth of natural resources and probably more possibilities we can imagine if we can put it to good use. And the unfortunate part of this is that for most workers, lifelong experience is what they rely on. They change constantly. Jobs change, they evolve, they learn, they adapt, they move on. And it's unfortunate we don't build this into the mechanism of how people get training and how they, and the thing that always frustrates me is there's no price for stealing and poaching in this country. The employers, there's the good ones who spend an enormous amount of resources training their people, only to have somebody poach them or steal them, and they have to start over again. And the ones that are doing it on a frequent basis don't get the recognition that is required. And I know of many good employers who do this on a regular basis. It's also, I think, fundamental in a society that say that we have to do better in the competitive world we operate in, but yet, both at the national level, which is disgraceful, that we don't put the resources that is necessary to make it happen. And we're constantly having this conversation, how are we going to squeeze the pie and make it smaller so we can find the resources to do it? Although there are many great employers who want to do training, don't have the resources to do it. It's not like they're stupid, they get it. In other cases, in many occasions, the workers who wants to learn things, but the possibility within their jobs and their family life and the balance they have to engage in, can't do it within the regular work hours. So how do we find that the opportunity to do it? And of course, somebody said this also, the country has changed. It's not the same country it used to be. It's very diverse and it's very complex, and we don't even seem to appreciate. What does that mean? We said 14% youth unemployment, and yet, we rely on temporary foreign workers in our country to figure out how to meet their skills needs. What do we tell young people who are going to grow up in this country, can't find a decent job, yet we've got all these unfilled needs that they could be trained for, but yet we don't put the collective minds of this country to say, how do we do this? I don't think we have a monopoly in the labor movement in regard to our role. We think we're collaborators with those who want to collaborate, but fundamentally we've got to get this at the top. The provinces and the federal government have to say, listen, this is a fundamental challenge to the future of this country. By the way, I go to Europe and other places, they get it. And they're kicking our ass on the competition in terms of the jobs they're producing, the quality of jobs, and of course the products they're selling around the world. Yet we keep stumbling constantly. When you come back to these conferences where they're good-intentioned people say, well, we don't know what the problem is. We know what the problem is. We need sustained leadership at a national level. We need resources that is committed from. Why can't we say a portion of our national budget is dedicated to assist the provinces and work with employers and unions and universities and training colleges and universities across this country to make sure we get this? This is not like rocket science. Even that we can figure out how to send somebody to space. For God's sake, we can figure out how to get the resources and the support that's needed to make sure we actually solve the problem. And I think all the things that have been said are very important. I'm not trying to be dismissive, but fundamentally I think it comes back to why do we have to have this conversation 50 times over before we come to the recognition? My friends in the Canadian Manufacturers Association are constantly struggling with issues and trying to provide leadership. We used to get something that still exists called the Apprenticeship Forum. We used to get a small amount of money from the federal government, they cut it out. Yet they said, well, how can we learn what's going on? Well, maybe fund the Apprenticeship Forum? Anyway, I don't want to rant here because that's not the purpose of me being here.